Huh. Breaking news.
Hell, Rap a Lot Records just got raided by the feds. Right.
You know, man. What have this shit come down to in the world today? You know what I mean? It's I can't believe people play with people intelligence the way they play with people intelligence and intellect. You know, the way they do today. You know, people are telling lies for a living. You know what I mean? They actually lying to y'all for a living, but as you can see, you know what I mean, live in a living color. This is what my jail cell look like. You know what I mean?
There's a dark cloud looming, you know what I mean? So now in comes the feds, you know. When did you get to the first whiff that these people was on your ass? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I know that, you know what I mean, from the streets coming in. You know what I mean? They never liked me there. And, you know, I was a target before music. You know what I mean? And I understood, okay, I'm a target, you know, probably rightfully so. But, you know, when I chose to, you know, transition, then they never wanted me to forget, or they never wanted me to believe that, you know, I could exercise my entrepreneurship in corporate America and become.
It would have been right on point with this.
Hey, we can always redo it. Bring it back and we'll redo it.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, well, congratulations.
Hey.
May I offer you some champagne?
No, good.
Any sparkling waters? Okay. David, whenever you're
I
ready.
got one thing for you.
Right.
And then I'll walk you up here to the front.
Wow, you got me a birthday gift.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty good one too.
Nice orange on it.
Yes, sir. Here, orange and black is your...
Got the bow on it. Pretty good. Let's see what it looks like.
Ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Hey. The real trick or treat going on in here. Yeah. Man, this is like a real Halloween. Yeah, look here. Turn out pretty nice.
Is that your birthday?
Oh, love it.
That's a beauty, right? Now you're part of the Spectre family.
Yeah, first time driving it at night, all those stars on the doors, like the ceiling, everything. There's nothing really like it out there.
I'm just wondering.
All right. I've only ever seen them with laugh, so I don't know. I do the first one and
Well, thanks a lot.
Enjoy the new car. I think it adds some contrast, you know? I mean, but it's your call.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful car. We can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Jay Prince is known as one of the most respected figures in hip-hop history, a man who helped build Southern rap from the ground up, a man who speaks about honor, respect, and loyalty. But behind that image is a much darker narrative, one filled with rigged dice games, intimidation, and a trail of artists who allegedly paid the price for stepping into Houston without permission. Because what started as a record label slowly turned into something else entirely. A system. One that many believe transformed Houston into a personal ATM machine. And the feds may finally be ready to shut it down. Long before Jay Prince wore tailored suits and gave motivational speeches, he was just another kid growing up in Houston's 5th Ward, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Texas. Violence wasn't optional. It was normal. In interviews and in his book, Jay Prince has admitted that watching his own mother struggle with addiction deeply affected him. It didn't just shape his childhood, it shaped his philosophy. In his world, respect wasn't given. It was enforced. Loyalty wasn't earned. It was purchased. By his early 20s, Jay Prince understood one thing clearly. The streets only lead to 2 places. But his exit wasn't about morality. It was about strategy. He didn't leave the game. He just changed the packaging. And the business he chose would give him access to money, connections, and something even more valuable: legitimacy. In 1986, Jay Prince opened Smith Auto Sales, a used car dealership operating during the day. But according to his own words, the nights told a different story. Cash-heavy businesses are perfect covers. Oh, and this one connected him to athletes, musicians, and influential figures who could move money quietly. A year later, he founded Rap-A-Lot Records. Officially, it was about keeping his brother out of trouble. Unofficially, it was a power move no one else saw coming. At the time, Southern hip-hop barely existed on a national level. New York ran the industry. The West Coast was rising, the South was invisible. Jay Prince filled that gap with the Ghetto Boys. And when he realized Scarface was more valuable than family loyalty, he made the switch without hesitation. The albums exploded. Houston was officially on the map, but success doesn't go unnoticed. And by 1988, the federal government was watching. The DEA believed Rap-A-Lot wasn't just a label, it was a front. Agents surveilled the offices for years. Cars were pulled over. Our associates were stopped. Pressure was constant. Then came the traffic stop. According to police, a white pill was found during Jay Prince's arrest, but the story kept changing. First it was ecstasy, then Mandrex, then Valium. The chemist's lab report identified it as Daupon. And the official paperwork claimed the pill wasn't even found in Jay Prince's car, but in the back seat of the police vehicle. Jay Prince passed a drug test, passed a polygraph, and made both public. What happened next shocked law enforcement. Busloads of supporters showed up at Houston Police Headquarters. Protests erupted. Community leaders rallied behind him. The charges were dropped. The message was loud and clear. Jay Prince wasn't just connected, he was protected. And with the feds temporarily pushed back, a new system quietly took over. In Houston, moms visiting artists learned one rule fast: you check in. Officially, it was about safety, about respect, about building relationships. Unofficially, it looked a lot like a protection racket. If you didn't check in, problems had a way of finding you. If you did, you were expected to play your role. Appearances, shoutouts, venues, security, everything ran through the same circle. And nowhere was this system allegedly more profitable than at the dice table, because dice games aren't really about luck when the outcome is already decided, they're about control. About knowing exactly who's walking in, how much money they're carrying, and how far they can be pushed before they break. According to multiple sources, Jay Prince Jr. allegedly ran dice games with rotating shooters, so no one noticed a pattern. The dice were said to be loaded. The matchups pre-selected. The victims chosen before the game even started. On the surface, it looked like rich guys gambling for fun. But behind the scenes, the goal wasn't entertainment, it was extraction. Rappers would be invited under the guise of building relationships, showing them Houston, making them feel welcomed, safe, connected. Once trust was established, someone would casually suggest shooting dice. It never felt planned. That was the trick. By the time the money was on the table, the trap was already set. In September 2020, Duke the Jeweler came to Houston for a concert. Duke wasn't just any jeweler. He was respected in the industry, trusted by major artists, and known for moving high-value pieces without drama. That night, he looked comfortable. Too comfortable. My photos and videos show Duke standing right next to J. Prince Jr., smiling, relaxed, and believing he was in good company. He ended up at a dice game with members of the Prince Circle, likely thinking that being connected meant being protected. Then something went wrong. Duke won. He wasn't supposed to. Reports claim he walked away up tens of thousands, possibly more. Money that wasn't meant to leave that table. After the game, Duke headed back to his car. He never made it home. He was followed, robbed, and lost his life. Authorities labeled it a random robbery, but people close to the situation weren't convinced. The questions kept piling up. Why was Duke alone? Why did he feel safe enough to move freely? And if checking in was about protection, where was it when it mattered most? 2 years later, history repeated itself. Only this time, the world was watching. November 1st, 2022 was supposed to be a celebration. Jazz Prince Day, a moment of pride. Quavo and Takeoff came to Houston to support a friend. The vibe was calm at first, music playing, laughing, chilling, no issues. Then the dice came out. According to sources, money started moving fast. Tempers flared, accusations followed. Quavo allegedly realized something wasn't adding up. Voices were raised, someone felt disrespected, then a weapon appeared. In the chaos, Takeoff, who wasn't even part of the argument, was struck and lost his life. A moment that should have ended with laughs and photos ended with headlines and grief. Later, a statement surfaced claiming that the firearm used in the Takeoff incident had been handed over by someone inside the circle that night. But that single detail alone sent shockwaves across the internet. For fans, for artists, for anyone watching closely, it confirmed what many had feared. This wasn't a random act of violence, it wasn't a tragic accident. It was part of a pattern, one that stretched back for decades and touched countless lives. As people began connecting the dots, the larger picture became impossible to ignore. J. Prince's sons had grown up with everything their father never had. Mansions, supercars, luxury vacations, access to power and money most people could only imagine. They had privilege baked into their DNA, but that upbringing didn't make them cautious or wise. Instead, it seemed to create a hunger, not for money, not for fame, but for control. They craved influence, they craved respect, they craved fear. And fear, when cultivated deliberately, is one of the most effective tools anyone can wield. Mob Ties, the brand they built, wasn't just a name. It was a statement of power, a declaration that Houston, and by extension anyone who stepped into their world, was under their influence. Checking in, something that started as a handshake, a courtesy, or a symbol of mutual respect, became mandatory. Artists and visitors were expected to acknowledge the system, to follow its rules, or risk consequences that could range from financial loss to threats to their very safety. And if anyone pushed back, they quickly learned that problems didn't always announce themselves. They appeared suddenly, silently, and disappeared just as quickly, leaving confusion, fear, and sometimes tragedy in their wake. Meanwhile, the broader context of law enforcement and oversight painted a complicated picture. The same DEA agents who had pursued J. Prince relentlessly for over a decade were eventually exposed as corrupt. They were accused of falsifying records, perjury, and running schemes that abused their authority. While this revelation undermined the integrity of those specific investigations, it didn't clear J. Prince's name or erase the pattern of influence and intimidation his family allegedly built. Instead, it wiped the slate clean, providing a temporary shield, but only a temporary one. Now, with federal authorities increasingly using RICO laws to target similar operations across the country, the blueprint is under scrutiny. Systematic extortion, intimidation, and violence tied to otherwise legitimate businesses is no longer theoretical. It's being prosecuted. And when you examine the web of activity surrounding the Prince family over decades, the pattern is chilling. Every move, every threat, every dice game, every contractual pressure point, every act of influence fits together into a cohesive system of power. The myth of untouchability only works until it doesn't. For decades, J. Prince operated in the shadows of respect and fear, protected by silence, shielded by reputation, and strengthened by an industry that often looked the other way because speaking up felt more dangerous than staying quiet. He built what many considered an empire. But empires built on fear rather than trust always carry the risk of collapse. And once the silence breaks, once the pattern becomes undeniable, once investigators connect the dots and victims speak out, even the most untouchable figures face the same reality as everyone else. No one is above the law forever. But empires built on silence always collapse the same way. They don't fall when the leader is loud. They fall when people stop whispering. The real power was never his connections. It was our acceptance, the belief that this was just how the game works. And now the question isn't if this story ends, it's how. Because once the dots are connected, once patterns are recognized, once fear stops working, there's no going back. If you want more deep dives like this, stories the industry avoids, patterns others ignore, and truths hiding in plain sight, make sure you're subscribed. And stay locked in, because some stories don't end when the camera cuts.